Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we will start looking at date and time manipulation using PHP. Now, as we've been doing so far, the first thing we do is create a page for date and time manipulation. So I'll just reuse this one and say date time manip.php and rename the link to say date and time manipulation. Next up is to create our page. So we call it date time manip.php, and then we do our HTML5 boilerplate, change our title, put in our h1 tag, which we always start with, and I'll just copy and paste. And then we start with our PHP tags. Now, our first challenge today is, what if we wanted to get a timestamp? How do I know what time it is right now? So really and truly, the time right now is relative to the time on the machine or the server that you are using. Meaning, if the time on my machine right now, which is my server, is wrong, because it is, it's actually after 3 p.m. right now, but the server time is 8:59. All right. So when I do get time, I'm going to get whatever time is on the machine. So if the machine time is wrong, then your time in your application is also going to be misrepresented if that is not the desired result. Notwithstanding that, we can just go ahead and echo, and I'll echo inside of a p tag. So I'll just open and close the p tags same time. And I'm going to echo, and I'm going to see if this works. Get date. All right. So that doesn't work. And that's because this is a function call and not a variable. Remember, we're talking about interpolation, and also I'm using single quotes and not double quotes. So let me just change that out, and then we can go ahead and adjust. So what I'm going to do is firstly declare a variable, and I'm going to call it date now. All right. And then I'm going to make this variable have the value that is get date. All right. And open and close quotation marks. So whenever this page is going to be run, this code, once it's executed, is going to get the exact date and time on the machine when the page loaded. So to get it echoed without any hassle, I'm just going to use my interpolation and put in date now. All right, so it's just going to inject it in there. I notice it's blue in the orange text. All right. So now I'm going to go back to my index page and then just click on the link to get to the new page. And we see that we have a slight error here. So this error is saying that we're trying to put an array to string, and that is not allowed. All right. Now let me explain this error, as it is a very valid error. Get date is actually going to return an array. So this date now is really an array, and we looked at arrays earlier in our exploration. All right. So an array is a contiguous collection of data. Now, what we didn't look at was the ability to actually reference the subscripts using named subscripts as opposed to numerical subscripts. So in our original array code, and I can just go back there, we looked at having an array of just numbers and then looking at each number based on the position it was inside of the array. When we look at date and time manipulation and we look at the get date, the date now actually is storing each value of a date, which would be the month or the year or the day of the week, in a named subscript. So we're going to actually go through that. So I can't print out this array, just echo the array. It won't work. I have to echo the value from the array that I wish to see. All right, so I'm just going to write a bit more code here, and then I'm going to echo today's date. And if you look at it, I'm using the double quotation mark because I need a single quote inside. So that's going back to what I was saying about knowing which one you start with and which one you need to end with. So I'm using double quotes because I need a single quote inside today's date. All right. And then I am going to break line, and then in the next line, I am going to show you, or the next few lines, I'll just duplicate them and I will show you each subscript. So the first named subscript that I'm going to use is mday. So let's see how that works. Now you notice the red line underneath it because really and truly there are limitations to the interpolation. I'm trying to be a bit too fancy. So I'm just showing you that there are some limitations to what you can do when you're trying to do the interpolation. When it comes to the named variables, because we have the presence of the quotation marks and so on, you might get some errors. So what I'm going to do is just remove these tags and take it out of the quotation marks. So I'm just printing the variable, but then I'm going to concatenate a break tag to make sure that the next line gets printed by itself. All right. So then when I refresh this page, and look, I'm still getting these errors because I still have that duplicated code trying to print the array to string. But then this line is producing the 21 because why? I am doing this video on the 21st of September. So mday is the way you get the date, the actual day of the month. mday, I guess that's month day. So that's the day of the month. All right. And then similarly, I have to do the same with these because I have to reference the named subscript. So I can just modify the string here and just concatenate a BR tag here. All right. So the named subscript for the month itself would be, so I open the square brackets, just like I did in the previous array video. I open the square bracket, but this time instead of using a number, I have to use a string because it's a named subscript. So I'm using the string mon. All right. So that's something new about arrays. An array can be referenced by position, or it can just be referenced by the name. It depends on how you create the array or how the original array is. So we had no control over how this one does it, but this is what it expects. So when I do that, I'm going to get the number 9 because 9 is the number associated with September. And we can just look down here at the clock and see 9/21, 2019. All right. And then in the same way, I'm just going to duplicate this since we have the winning formula now and just remove that line. And then I want the year, so I'm going to write the word year. So the name subscript for the year is the word year. And I refresh that and we get 2019. All our errors are gone. And now we have 3 characters or 3 values rather that can give us the date. So I can actually print the date in one line. So I'll just echo and say today's, and then notice what's happening here with my echo. It's giving me an error because I'm using the quotation mark here, and there. So because I want the single quote there, I can just wrap it all in a double quotation mark. So today's date, then I'm going to concatenate, all right? And then I'm just going to echo. Well, I can actually just take each of these. So I'll just copy them since I already have them. And I'll concatenate on the day, right? And then I can concatenate the slash. So I'm going to try and print it just like this, 9/21/2019. So by that, if that's what I want to do, then I really want month first, since it's the 9 first. So I have the month slash, then I concatenate, and then I'm going to concatenate the day value here. All right, so that's the power of concatenation. So we couldn't print it out in one line just by saying get date and printing get date, but we can get the individual subscripts and then just concatenate it into one sentence and one structure that we want. All right, so that's that's month, then day, and then we're going to now echo the year. So let me just paste and then change that to year. So I'm echoing, and I don't need to echo each time. Sorry about that. So this one echo can serve this entire block. So that's why we're getting those red lines. So I'm just going to remove all the extra echoes. All right, there we go. So echo, and we're echoing this one string attached to this next string, attached to this next one. And what I didn't do between the month and the day and the year is put in the slash. So I just make sure I have in that slash here. So I have month, day, dot, and what I should have is the string to have the slash, and then concatenate that onto my year, and then end all of that with a semicolon. And then when I refresh, I'm going to say today's date is the 21st of the 9th, 2019. So based on your country, based on your format, you can always rearrange that. So actually, I'm Jamaican. So in Jamaica, we prefer to have day, month, year as opposed to month, day, year, right? So I can just rearrange this by changing this to M day, and then changing this to month, and then year. And then when I refresh, it looks more friendly to my cultural context. So you make your decision based on your audience. Now, if I wanted the time by itself, then I could actually just echo, and I think I can just say time. All right. And let's see how that works out. And there we go. Well, time is going to come by in some Unix value. So let me just break line here. So let me just concatenate a BR tag here, and we look at the time value by itself. So that's the time value, and that's what you call like a Unix. It's a Unix value, so it will make very little sense if you've never really used a Unix system. So you can see that this is not very human friendly when it comes to the time. However, GetDate actually has named subscripts that actually allow you to see the time. So you can see hours just the same way you would type year, month, or day. You can say hours, you can say minutes, you can say seconds if you need to see an exact timestamp. Once again, this is one of those things that you probably won't commit to memory and remember everywhere you go every day of the week. But it is something to bear in mind, because when you need it, you need to know exactly how you can implement it and what your options are. Now, in addition to those options with the getDate function, you also have a date function that can give you a formatted date. So you just say M for month, D for day, Y for year. All right, and whatever format, whether you want slashes or dashes or spaces, and then you can actually just put in something for that timestamp, and you would be doing all of that on top of time. All right, so time is actually like a value since the beginning of computers, at least since it could be calculated. So this value can actually mathematically be broken down into a day, month, year, and time value as at now. All right. So when I do that and I print out, and notice I'm using a word print. So up until now, we've been echoing. You can also say print. All right. So I print and say date, and then pass in that time value. And what date does is format this time value, the seemingly unreadable time value, into a readable format as you desire. And what it does is give me the month, the day, the year, and well, I'm not sure why my time is saying 23 when it's really 21. All right, but it's saying 23 and 18 and 49 seconds. So it's 23:18. I guess maybe my server clock is wrong. Maybe this representation, oh, I think I need to change something in XAMPP, but you probably won't be having that challenge, so that's fine. And then in the next line, I'm actually printing something else. Today is, and I'm printing the day of the month, the year, and a bunch of things. And you can see the translation here. So I'm saying today is that day, that year of September 2019 at, and it's saying 11:18 p.m. So you can actually, instead of saying 2300 or 23 hours, which is the army time for 11, then you could just say 11:18 p.m. that concludes today's lesson on date and time manipulations. Of course, it can get more interesting than this, but as you develop into a PHP developer, you'll find more use for these functions.